What's up, team? Sean from Us to Live here. And this is a little bit of a unique video because I'm going to be asking for some help on a journey I'm about to take to really do some deep dive and some real research work in and around a really popular stock that a lot of people know a lot about. But I want to take it from a particular angle and try to suss out long-term value. So don't watch this for sort of an endpoint. This is a bit of a different take on it. So I did a live stream the other day with Cyberfam and Tom Nash, and I thought it was a great call. One of the things that kept coming up in the sidebar was that I needed to do more research in and around renewable and solar energy in general, and really focus in on Tesla, what Tesla's doing with it, how they're doing it, how they're deploying it, etc. Now, full transparency, I haven't really done a lot of research in that space. I also want to say I do own a very small amount of Tesla. I'm not like heavily researched into the company, the stock, whatever. No particular reason. I have it through other indices, etc. But I just want to tell you that too. So this is really about research. This isn't about recommending anything. So I'm going to share my screen because I want to not waste any time here. And I'm going to start with a really specific ask, okay? If you know someone, you know of areas I should be looking at or focusing on in and around what Tesla is doing within the solar space, around the three products they offer. I'm going to show that in a second. I'm going to show you how I'm starting this and how I'm starting to think about it. And I think there's going to be two conclusions that come out of this. I think number one, it's going to be where and when does it make sense and what are the benefits of using these solar systems. I want to try to do a comparative analysis between these and others that exist in the market. And then finally, from an investment perspective, do I see enough growth here to really justify a higher valuation within the current price of Tesla beyond what we already know, right? Because that's the key here. We're not talking about cars for the moment. So without further ado, let's not waste any time because I hate when people do that. So let's jump on in here. So at a glance, what I wanted to do is just figure out, well, where am I going to start my research here at a very basic level? And of course, as you can imagine, what did it do? It took me, of course, to Tesla's website. And I can see here that I can jump in solar roofs, solar panels, etc. When I also sort of looked at Tesla and then just did a basic query for why would I go with Tesla, it actually brought me to a really good site here. And so if you're new to either Tesla, solar panels, how they deal with this space, or the market in general, I thought this was a nice starting place. So essentially what it does, it just talks through why go solar, some of the savings you can make, right? Specifically how Tesla's going to do it. Of course, the benefits are reducing my carbon footprint, which is a big deal. And look, whether you like solar or not, it matters that you do the right things. Protecting yourself from rising electricity rates. I see that in my own area. Increasing the value of my home. I'm not so sure about that one, but we'll get into that as we go. And also how we secure my home from outages. One of the reasons I think this came up on this call was the fact that I was discussing that where I live, they've actually buried the power lines. We have really bad winters. Trees come down every single year. If they knock out power, it can be 2 or 3 days sometimes till we get back. That stinks. So, excuse me, one of the ways we got around this was by simply embedding the power lines into the ground. That resolved for a lot of it from an outage perspective, but it doesn't stop a car from skidding and hitting a pole, and it doesn't matter what we do with the lines, right? So I just want to call that out, that this is where I was starting my research. I was taking a look at three key components, right? The power wall, where I'm going to jump in and start to understand some of the whys here. I'm going to try to put this together in a really simple format for myself as well, and I'll share this once I'm done with it. But again, what I really would prefer is to have someone who really knows this well, help talk me through it and what the benefits are. But what I think is really great about the way Tesla set this up is they've got a gosh darn lot of material in here. This is far more than I expected to see when I started thinking about how I want to do this and how I want to work through it. So, of course, the Powerwall, for those who don't know, is essentially the way that they're saving energy within the house, right? This is sort of like not essentially, it is a wall-mounted battery that's able to leverage and store, and essentially also take that energy from the panels and keep it there so that at night you have access to that energy. I think that's pretty much been the missing key here. And one of the concerns I brought up on this call the other day was, it's all good that we have panels, it's all good that we have turbines, it's all good that we've got et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if I can't store it and use it off hours, it's of no use to me. So I want to dig in a little bit on the Powerwall, not just how it works, because that's all here, but start to understand some use cases. Are people using it today? Are you using it? And could share some information in the comments below. That would be huge, actually, really huge. Now, besides the wall, I want to start to take a look at these solar panels, right? So a big part of this is not just why go solar. Of course, I think many of us understand the value of looking at the standpoint of the environment, the financial impact, et cetera. But more than that, really, like, why would I go with Tesla solar panels? Because that's the real question. There's literally probably a million people a day, it feels like, are calling me saying like, hey, Sean, would you like to put solar panels on a roof? And I'm always like, how do you get my name? Right? Because my house is surrounded by trees. So there's considerations for that as well. And I'm going to go through all these things sort of as much detail as it makes sense for me to do so, and then summarize it and bring some of it back as well. Because there's a lot of considerations that I don't think we're taking into account here. It's not just the positives, right? I need to make sure it works on my house. I need to make sure I get enough sunlight. I need to make sure it's going to actually create the savings that we think it's going to create. I need to make sure that it's going to work well within the environment I'm in, how much power we use, etc. And then, of course, along with this idea of these solar panels, we're also talking about the solar roof, which is a whole nother thing, of course, in general. And then to even have a good kind of piece here around who does the installations, what kind of support do you get, etc. Now, this brings me back over here where I was really starting to look at these two key components, even for myself. And then I also have another question that I'm asking anyone who's watching this. Now, I understand the point of a solar roof, right? It makes tons of sense to me. I put it on there. It's on there 24/7. It's going to be collecting that power and creating a different power source from it, right? So taking that sunlight, putting it into electricity. Lots of really good stuff in here. Cool visualizations, right? Like this is the stuff people want to see, but I'm an investor. I'm very focused on finance, very focused on numbers, like cool videos, how hard they are, can they break when a hammer hits them? You know, it matters, but it's not the bottom line. So this is what I'm going to be running through, right? And the visuals look great, all this cool stuff they've got going on as well. But I want to take you guys on a little bit of a different journey here because I think there's something else to be considered is I'm not just trying to understand if this is going to work for me. I also want to understand from the standpoint of Tesla, their growth in the stock. Is this a big deal for the stock or not? Is this generating real returns and real revenue? And I want to see what I can tie back to that as part of this process. So for those who don't know how to do this, I think this is just an important moment here to do this with all the companies that you're interested in or learning about or thinking about investing in is just go to the investor relations page. Real simple stuff here if you haven't done it before. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for the most recent report. So January 26th, we had the most recent Q4 earnings report. Right, I'm going to click download here for the PDF file. And since I'm only interested in solar right now, what I'm going to do is a Command F. And as you can see, I actually made sure this would work beforehand. And there's, let me just make sure we got it. Okay. So in the report, from an operational perspective as well, they've got solar deployed by megawatts. So I want to check some of these numbers out, right? We're going to go to the next one here. And we've got solar retrofit and solar panels, right? So we can see some growth here as far as the kind of energy storage, what kind of deployment we're seeing. There's some good stuff in here that really speaks to it from a business perspective and how they're seeing growth in it. Because let's be honest, I don't want to even consider this as a solution for me if no one else is using it or there's declining usage or it's not generating real power. It takes nothing to put together a website showing the benefits, the reasons why you would do this, how great it is. But if no one's using it, eventually it's just going to go away and we're not going to see it happen again. So that's some of the things I want to try to cover here. It's a lot, right? And this might take a couple of videos to break down and break through, but I think it's an important call out because as we're talking about energy crisis, we're talking about the commodities, we're talking about oil and gas and pulling it all out of the ground. You're right. There are other options out there. And I think if these options are considered and how we can scale them, I think there's something to take here. So I'm going to leave you with one ask. This is, again, not a normal video for this channel, but if you have material or you can point me in a direction, share the stuff below. Let me know where to look. Let me know if you've actually put this on your house, if you're using a wall, what kind of results you're getting. Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? And then also, like, just in general, what should I expect? What should I be concerned with? And are you, as an investor, considering this as part of the value of Tesla, or is this just a positive thing they're doing and simply is going to help to charge more cars and create sort of a horizontal and a vertical way of integrating this energy source into the car, which brings more users, which brings more growth in that sense? I want to try to get a feel for these different components as well. So that's it. Not a normal video. I know this is not what I typically always do, but I thought it was really important to reach out and start to say, like, well, other than the nice looking websites and the paid articles that I keep coming across, are people using this? Is it being reported? What does that growth look like? How is it affecting the stock price? Do I need to shave my beard? Absolutely, I do. But like, this is where I'm at on it. This is what I'm asking for help on. If you know someone who's really an expert and would be willing to jump on and talk about this, I'd love to do that as well. So with that, I'm going to have more for you shortly. I'm working on this. It's something that's definitely high on my priority list. I think getting our arms around the future of energy, the opportunity as investors, and frankly, as people as well, is huge. And as a person who's really interested in commodities and loves that space, I think this is almost like a side commodity in a sense. Like, how do we start to commoditize the energy from the sun? So with that, thanks so much for watching. This is not a normal video again, but I do appreciate you watching. If you know someone, you know something, you can help me out here, please do so. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to the next one with you here. Thanks.